Hey everyone, it's Andrew J, and we are with my good friend and fantastic mortgage consultant, Pritish Raval.
That's right.
The right way to say it?
That is correct.
All right, just making sure, buddy.
Yes.
So I know we're going to get right into it, talking about mortgages, talking about what's happening with the interest rates, talking about the increase that we're getting, well, that we already got into. Maybe shed some light on this. What's going to happen? I know we're talking about the interest rates going up, maybe possibly in July. Tell me a little bit about this, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. So first, thanks for having me, Andrew. Always a pleasure to be here, right? Rates went up, as everybody knows, June 7th last week, went up by 0.25%. And, what it's doing is what it's meant to do. It's meant to kind of create a little bit of fear out in the market. And, I truly believe when there's a little bit of fear out there, it actually creates an opportunity for a lot of buyers, right? So I know we're going to get into it. We're going to talk a lot about, what's going to happen in the future, how the interest rate increases affecting the current marketplace and mortgages. So I'll save a little bit for that later. But before I forget, last week, CIBC held its 6th annual softball tournament for Fight Like Mason.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you guys won the 5th year in a row. Is that right?
5th year in a row. It would have been 6.
Yeah.
But COVID prevented us from number 6. But there's always next year.
Yep.
My words that I had said to you when you went to go pick up the trophy.
Yes.
Do you remember what I said?
Yeah. So for there was 2 days of just me hearing like the same thing from Andrew. I came to pick up the trophy. When I called him to come pick up the trophy, he said, "There's no point of picking up the trophy. It's gonna stay here." I came to pick up the trophy, and he said, "Please keep that shiny for me for tomorrow." And then a little bit more trash talk at the game. So congratulations, though.
Yes.
To you and the Deerbrook team.
Yes, it's not arrogance. It's a little bit of confidence. It's confidence. That's what it is. It's confidence.
Yeah, I like that.
And it, obviously to support a great cause, of course, Fight Like Mason, which of course we support in every which way. I think we're actually in the golf tournament too. So, when it comes to charity, when it comes to us, I mean, honestly, I don't even know if I've ever turned anybody down in that, right? But I mean, listen, I kind of believe in kind of doing what we can, I guess, to help. And especially, I mean, Fight Like Masons for obvious reasons. We both have kids. And, remember, our kids were actually on the same soccer team. Yeah. But we both have kids, and we both understand. I couldn't imagine what that is to go through. So anyway, of course, anything I could do to help would be.
Absolutely. And I echo your words that you guys do such an amazing job, supporting the community, and we really appreciate it. So thanks, and looking forward to seeing you guys in the tournament next year.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll go for number 6, and we'll see what's what. Hopefully somebody can take us down.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
fit up a good fight, right? So, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, the times are different right now, right? Compared to the last several years, this year is probably more challenging than others. And I know you've been doing this for 18 plus years?
17, but yeah, feels like 28, but whatever.
Right?
17 years, yeah.
So long time. You've probably been through so many different things in the market, and year after year, you find a way, you and your team find a way to remain at the top, right? And being very consistent with your client experience and how you take care of your clients. So how do you do that? Like, what would you say are some of the things you've learned in the past that you're able to apply now?
It's let's be honest, it all comes back down to customer service. It is customer service. It's about taking care of people. I don't care how much technology, social media, things that come about, which of course we'll get into in a second, about obviously being on the forefront of that. But to me, it's still about service. And take all that stuff away, it's still a client to customer service. And take care of them, right? Take care of them, take care of the people. And honestly, we pride ourselves, and I know that I pride, not just myself, but our team on the fact that every single client to us, we do treat them as friends. We constantly are in contact with them. We constantly keep them updated. Communication is obviously very, very key. But we do well in that just because of that. that we truly care. And I can honestly say we really do care about our clients. We want to make sure that we do a great job for them. I know that we want to get them a great price if we're trying to help them buy a house. We're going to try to get them a great price on the other end if we're trying to sell the house. So that's one part of it. Yes. Beyond that, how have we, kept up and been at the top? And I think we've been at the top for quite some time. It's about evolving. It's about constantly changing, evolving into things that need to happen.
Right.
Whether it be in the industry, whether it be, just from, yet again, social media and bringing on, whether it be full-time videographer, photographer, bringing on, a social media, digital media digital media director. I'm going to screw that up. But anyway, the idea that these things are very, very important.
Right.
They're obviously of the forefront of what's going to be happening in the future, and you have to get ahead of that stuff.
Right.
So there's a lot more that goes into it, but as far as I'm concerned, it's more to do with customer service and a true concierge service, which we do a great job at, where there's so many other things that we can do for people, whether it be cleaning services, whether it be painting services. I mean, a couple of our associates have been taking their power washers and spraying down patios.
Gotcha.
If that's what's required.
Yeah.
Right? So
doing whatever it takes.
Exactly. And I think that the same goes for you, right? I think when you're dealing with a customer or client, and the times that we've interacted where we've said customer or client to you, I mean, speak to that. Speak to what you...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot of similarities in how we approach our businesses, right? Whether it's on the real estate side or the lending side. Absolutely. Customer service is at the top of the list, right? Making sure we wrap our arms around the client. We want them to feel, because, the process is stressful, right? From applying for a mortgage, or you're buying or selling, how much you're going to get approved for. Sometimes it's a stressful experience. And our goal is to make that stress-free. We want them to feel like, we're truly in your corner. We're going to guide them the right way. We're not going to, try to sell them on anything. Sorry, is your knee okay there?
It's all good, buddy.
So we're not going to try to sell them on anything, but first we just want to find out kind of what's important to them. What are they trying to accomplish? And then, we're going to structure a strategy that's specifically for them, right? Custom to them, not just, paintbrush, broad brush across the board. Find out what's important to them. And yeah, absolutely. So customer service, and then constant communication. I find that, obviously outside of social media, but constantly staying in communication with the client and our partners, right? So when the file is submitted, when the file is approved, obviously letting them know, documents have been sent to the lawyer, letting the clients know, hey, your instructions have been sent to the lawyer, communicating with all parties. So everybody knows every step of the way where they are. Nobody's left in the dark, don't know what's happening with this file. So yeah, customer service, similar things, customer service and communication.
And I can attest to that, because for us, it's funny because it is about communication. I think the more that, especially a mortgage consultant, mortgage rep, the more information they can provide to us and just be helpful and say, listen, here's where we're at, here's where we're going to be. We might need a little bit more time on this one. This is what type of things that we're going to have to work around. It's funny because we are sort of a team, right? When you go at this, right? You think about it, we're trying to help them purchase a home. You're obviously helping them with that purchase as well, just in a financial way. But essentially, it is a team situation.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is important, I think you guys do a great job with this is, communicating complicated information to a client in a not complicated way. Right. So, the intricacies of buying and selling, there's so much that goes behind it.
Yeah.
But you guys do such a great job at just simplifying the process. Maybe talk a little bit about that, like how you guys simplify for the client.
You know what? Obviously it comes with experience too, right? I mean, having experience, having the confidence, right, to speak to a client and knowing that I've been down this road so many times, so that you actually look at a situation and say, listen, 99 times out of 100, this is the way that it's going to roll, right? And do we take that off? Do we not take that off? Or do we put that, should we take this off and put this one on notice? Or what do we do here, Andrew? There's, and I'll give you a prime example. I won't speak to a specific situation, but there was one of our associates. We had to handle it was very difficult. We had our own client, our own buyer, and then there was another realtor that had come in with an offer the next day. And, let's put it this way. I was still putting together documentation. I sent off a notice at 11. I received the accepted offer at 11:58, sent off the notice by 11:59. Look, I've been doing this for 17 years. I mean, for people to not know that I'm that involved, you know, but it needed to happen. Because if it didn't happen, our client wouldn't be happy, right? And they are happy today because their house is sold and they got maximum amount of money for it, the value. And but it is how you explain it. It is how you provide the information. Same for you. I mean, very complicated sometimes financial situations, but you know, it's just you have to get to their level and just say, guys, this is what it's going to look like. This is how it's going to go down. This is more than likely what's going to happen. This is your best case scenario. This is your worst case scenario. I think it's the way that you do that. I think then people really trust that. Okay, you've been there before. Exactly. I think at the end of the day, you're gonna put me in the right place. Yeah. I'm not worried about that.
Right.
So
and I agree with you. You know, I think that's the key is simplifying it. But again, at the same time, like you said, kind of making sure that they are feeling comfortable with the process and they know exactly, you know, what are some of the outcomes and what are we doing to kind of help them get to the right outcome, right? Where we want to be. So I know we want to do a little bit of market update, right?
Yeah.
So what's been going on, right? Because people are saying rates are going up, prices are supposed to come down. Are they coming down? Are we selling less? Are we selling more? What's happening in Windsor?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I just did a team meeting yesterday, and we went over some of these numbers. And, you know, it's fascinating to me to see what of a crazy increase that we have seen since January. And I know that we obviously went through that interest rate hike that, you know, felt like it was never going to end.
Right.
You know, but then when we started to see that positivity, it's all about consumer confidence, right? It's about buyer confidence. And the minute that interest rate started to change in the right direction, that's when people started to get to that point where hey, it's time to buy. Right? It's time to buy. So as a market update, I would certainly say every single month, especially since January, it has been consistently getting better and better and better.
Right.
And I know the average sale price has gone almost, I think we were like $450,000 almost in January. We just touched back at $600,000 again. That is almost like kind of pre-COVID numbers, as crazy as that sounds. Like we're back into like that high fives, low sixes numbers. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Now, that being said, I'm not surprised because there was still that pent up, you know, I'm not going to buy. Am I going to buy? Am I not going to buy? What's going to happen, you know, with the interest rates and that? And then sure enough, you know, people say, well, I guess I got to buy now because if I don't buy now, what are we going to do?
Correct. Yeah.
You know, and look, openly and honestly, I think what's going to happen, obviously, with the market moving forward, and I told everybody this at the start of the year, it's going to be an up and down year. You're going to notice that some weeks are really, really, really busy. Right. Some weeks are going to be a little bit slower. But honestly, like even yesterday, I think we sold 6 houses. You know, that's us. Yep. We sold 6. So to say that the market is getting better, there's no question. That's a clear indication of what's happening in the market. And it's great for us. Obviously, we're just here to help our client. We put in a lot of hard work when the market was not so good, by the way. I want to point that out. But I feel like this is starting to kind of pay off in the time and the energy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can speak to that as well. What's your kind of take on this?
So on our end, on the mortgage side, you know, we're seeing more and more clients want to get pre-approved, right? Yeah. So we're talking, you know, 6 months ago, we were able to get offers accepted with conditions. Now, you know, that almost doesn't exist. At least that's what the clients are telling me, right? Yep. That if we're making an offer, it's a competitive situation. We can't put any conditions. We need a firm pre-approval. And that's where, you know, our pre-approvals, the ones that we do particularly at CIBC, can help set your offer apart because it's one of a kind. It's fully adjudicated. Yeah. So that's the benefit we have. You know, when we submit the pre-approval, the underwriter reviews the file. It's adjudicated up front, so there are no surprises. And so my number of pre-approvals has gone up. Nice. And in turn, it's given our clients a competitive edge, right? Nice. So yeah, prices are going up. We're seeing that too. Unfortunately, with the rate going up,
Yeah.
Affordability, however,
Yeah.
is going down.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, and yet again, with us even doing what we're doing just recently, I mean, it's either an indication that obviously either people are taking advantage of the fact that, you know, they want to jump in that lesser rate, right, versus the higher rates that are going to.
Yeah.
So if they start to see it going, oh man, is it going in that direction? Maybe I should jump on something now rather than wait. And, you know, it's not a bad idea because we don't know. I mean, maybe you can touch upon what's going to happen. We know July, right? July, they have another announcement, and then September's the next one, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know, right now, I would say it's, and I hate to play down the middle, but but it's a 50-50, right? You know, like inflation is higher. One of the reasons why is because shelter costs have gone up year over year. So costs of mortgages and the costs of rent have gone up. So inflation is going up. So, you know, some people think, wait a minute, isn't raising interest rate supposed to bring inflation down? That's what some people think, right? And that's what it's supposed to be doing, and it should. But right now, it's actually having the opposite effect. It's actually the raising interest rates is one of the main contributing factors for inflation to go up because shelter costs have gone up. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next little bit. I'm playing it down the middle. I would not be surprised if the rates go up again by another 0.25%, definitely before the end of the year. And so there's two ways to think about it, right? Kind of what you were saying.
Yeah.
There are the people that are kind of, you know, are going to look at the rate increase and say, hey, you know what, maybe now is not the time for me. The market and interest rate environment is too unstable for me.
Yeah.
And then there's the other group of people that go, hey, you know what, I have to kind of get in now because, you know, maybe the competition's lower or I don't want the rate to go up and I need to get in now, right?
Yeah, and think about it in terms of even rent. I mean, rent is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination either. Like a lot of ways too, we start looking at it, especially if you're looking in let's say a larger sector where you're looking in, you know, the 3,200, you know, 3,000, 26, 28, 3,200 range. I mean, once you start to get to those numbers, you start going, okay, wait a second, maybe why am I not buying versus renting?
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, I get it. I mean, certain financial situations, what are you going to do? I mean, sometimes you have to take a pause, you know, and restart.
And reassess, right?
Now, you were talking earlier, it was a little off camera here, but you were talking earlier about what the rates in about 12 months. Maybe mention.
Yeah, so one of the things, one of the articles I was reading was, you know, there a lot of families and households have not yet felt the impact of the rate increase, right? So clients that are in fixed terms, you know, from 2020 or 2021, in the next 12 to 24 months, their mortgages are going to start coming up for maturity. And so they're going to go from a significantly lower interest rate to what our current interest rates are, which is some of them is like, you know, more than triple the interest rate that they're going to be paying.
What are their options there? So if they're in that position, like what do they do?
So in that situation, some clients will do nothing. They'll just wait to renew. And when they renew, they're probably going to feel an increase of 25 to 40% in their mortgage payment, potentially. Some clients, what they're doing is, you know, they're looking at, you know, how far are they from maturity, and is it worth it for them to break that interest rate right now, right? So someone maybe that's, you know, 5-6 months away, they might just want to convert now. Someone that's further away, they might consider refinancing and then converting to a current rate or a blended rate. So those are some of the options. If you're in a variable, obviously the story is totally different because you probably felt the biggest rate increase. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see over the next, you know, 12 to 24 months how some of those households react to it. Currently, though, delinquencies on mortgages is extremely low still. So there has not been that many delinquencies on mortgages.
It is funny that you say that. So I actually ran into somebody, was talking to somebody about that. And I said, hey, like, did you find a house yet? And because I knew they were through somebody else. And I said, did you find a house yet? And she said, no. I'm going to wait. You know, I'm going to wait for all these people to get, you know, with the mortgages, and they're going to be in a tough spot and blah, blah, blah. And And honestly, it probably wasn't the time, but I'm like, man, I just got to get this off my chest. So I just said, listen, here's the issue. The issue is this: the values of the homes continue to rise. The truth is, even if you're in a tough spot, I hate to say this, but you could just turn around and sell. And you don't have to sell for less money because, truth be told, the values were actually increasing.
They're going back up,
Number one. Number two, I said, if you think for 1 minute that the banks are going to come up with other ways, i.e., you know, amortization bump ups, blending rates, doing this and that, I mean, you got another thing coming.
Right.
Like, that's why I'm saying, you know, I think people were looking for the apocalypse of
Right.
of
Right.
what was gonna
Yes.
happen,
Yes. Yes.
right? And I was always like, hey guys, like, first and foremost, like, you know, even I got a rate, you know, 5 years ago that was really, really good, you know, and I might get 2 years left on it or whatever, but it still doesn't matter because I'm still, you know, we're still in a good position. And I think, like most people, they're looking at it and saying, look, worst comes to worst, I can always just sell,
Right.
you know, if I had to. I could always downsize if I had to, because yet again, it's only based upon the market.
Correct.
And yet again, the other part to that is joblessness,
Yes.
which of course we don't have.
Yeah. Unemployment is low.
Unemployment is low, and I hate to say it, it with the EV plan, which obviously we think will get worked out there. But I think with those things, the bridge, Amazon, I mean, you name it, the hospital. I mean, there's numerous things that, to me, as far as I'm concerned, there's just no way. I don't see any reason, especially Windsor, I'm saying Windsor, that I see us coming back down.
Yeah, no, and you know, I think what you were saying with the people that are kind of waiting for the apocalypse situation, there's a lot of factors that have to come into play for somebody to foreclose on their home, right? Like some series of really bad events have to occur where one, like the primary income loses their job, right, and then it's like they absolutely cannot afford to make the mortgage payments. For the most part, people, the last thing they're willing to let go or miss a payment on is their mortgage.
Their mortgage, of course.
There are people are more likely to miss a credit card payment, line of credit payment, loan payment, but they're very less likely to miss a mortgage payment.
Well, and that was the other thing too, was I mentioned about the fact that they had maybe bought the house 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, and let's be honest, the amount of equity that they have at the home. So either A, they could always refinance, or B, they could, if they had bad debt, they could obviously sell, go down to something else, and then we'd still work somehow. Right?
Yeah, and so I don't know if there's going to be too much of that happening, right? But let's see. We can't really guarantee anything. We can't forecast that kind of stuff.
We certainly can't.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, yet again, I did yet again. I was thinking that 2023 was going to go like this. It's kind of what has happened so far. So I've been right on that. I probably didn't see us kind of increase as quickly as we have, but it's obviously amazing to see. And I know I threw some stats at you before we even jumped on camera. We're talking about January versus now. And we're talking about number of sales. And obviously, a lot of our market share is million plus, right? Don't get me wrong. We sell quite a few homes, you know, in the 550 to 700 range, which is, by the way, still the most popular sector. But, you know, it was amazing to see that we went from 3 sales over 1.4 in January to, like, I forget what it was. I think it was 37 or 34 or something sales over that in that time frame, and going to now in May. Excuse me, that was May. So to go from January to May and then have that much of a bump up, is crazy. I mean, I'm glad to see it,
right?
Because obviously of how much product we have in that price range. But I'm happy to see it just for people in general. I think you're obviously starting to see some people starting to move. Right?
And I think, you know, kind of what we were, to add to those stats is, I think the number I was looking at was the 450 to 550 price range.
Right.
It was in January, there were 68 sales. And I think in May, it was like over 500.
Yeah.
Right?
It was 567
something. Yeah. So it's like every range has been like almost a 10x.
Well, and it was always, and let's be honest, because you talked about Ontario in general, or Canada in general. Windsor is still very, very, very cheap, right? It's very affordable for people to get into something, because where else are you going to buy under 400 grand? Where else are you going to buy under 500 grand? Like, it's still, and that's why, yet again, that's still our most popular sector. But then also the up to 700 marker has started to move now, which yet again, you know how the game goes. It's a domino effect that all of a sudden that starts to move. This starts to move. Then the 900, then the million, then the 1,000,004. So I'm not surprised. And yet again, I was back in 2000. I was there in 2008 when things started to turn around too. But that was a different market.
Right.
That was unemployment.
Right.
We lost a lot of jobs. You know, Chrysler, Ford, GM, whatever. Different time, you know, and so this is a little different time than that. It's definitely different, but it's positive to see that we're heading in that right direction. I do hope that the interest rates don't affect things that much.
Right.
If it stabilizes a little bit, that's okay too. I'm good with that. I just, you know, you don't want to see what we had saw the year before.
Yeah. I mean, I think the increases aren't going to be that high at this point, right? I think the kind of worst of it is hopefully behind us. You know, and you saw as soon as there was a little bit of stabilization, when there was a few rate holds, what happened to the market, right? People jumped right in. I think one of the things that I just kind of want to tie it up here is, the art of it all, right? Like, so you were just saying that, you worked really hard when things weren't as busy as well. And I think there's an art to helping customers and finding success in those markets, right? So maybe you can kind of speak to a little bit about that, the art of being a realtor as well.
Yeah, I mean, yet again, doing this for 17 years and then trying to, doing it individually and then obviously bringing in team members, starting with one, you know, and now we're at, I think, close to 26, now including staff and this and that too. I think it's obviously important that when we started this process, and whether it be 17 years ago or be today, that our focus has never changed. It's always been customer and client. Obviously, we bring more to the table now than we ever have, with technology being available. And I think it's almost a prerequisite now that if you're going to list your home, and it dumbfounds me sometimes when I see people list their home, and all the things that they're not doing or not utilizing, right? Where I'm sitting there saying, man, like, not to say it's just me. I mean, there's other people out there that do this job and do it well. I just don't understand why you're going to spend that type of money, especially in terms of commissions and what have you. Hire the best. Right. Hire the best. Hire some of the best people. And there is a reason why they're some of the best. Right. There's a quality there. Yeah. There's the ability to just deal with people in the right way. Yeah. And I'll be honest, if I'm looking at this, at, let's just say, the top even 10 or 15 agents out there or whatever, the brokers that we deal with, they all seem to have a very similar characteristic. It's amazing to me. They all have the same characteristic. They're all hardworking. Right. They are always client first. And they're very, very easy communicators and very easy to deal with in terms of realtors themselves. So it's funny, a lot of people don't know this, that obviously real estate agents, we speak all the time. And the funny thing is that when you have somebody on the other end that that you can trust, that at the end of the day, they're going to work as hard as they are for their client, you're going to work hard for your client, but at the end of the day, let's be honest, it's going to go in this certain direction. Right. And I think that part of the business, I don't think people really understand that it makes a difference to hire the right people, just like it does make a difference, of course, to have the right financial people. Absolutely it does, because there's no question. We have had situations where we have clients of ours, and I'm like, and I know enough about financing at this point, right? Because of how long I've been doing this, that I'm sitting there going, no. Yeah. Like, that shouldn't be happening. Right. Like, I already know right off the bat, this, like, call Pritish. Yeah. And we have some other names, obviously, too. But the idea is that I know at the end of the day, if I send them to you, you're going to take care of them. And that is what is important. That's what's important to me. Yep. And
I agree. And I think, same, like you said, there's a difference in what lender you work with. I think the advice that we offer, it kind of has to cater to you, right? And beyond that, like, different ideas, right? Just something as simple as an investor who's looking to buy a property, right? Like, put it in your holdco. Make sure your lender can put it in a corporation name for you. So this way, there's a lot of tax implications down the line that you don't think of when you're buying your first or second investment property. And that's where that expertise and experience comes in, right?
Do the research. Do the research. I think it's well worth it. Look, like, even yesterday, I was down at the city of Windsor trying to figure out about one property, whether it could be severed, blah, blah, blah. Like, here I am doing some background work. Yep. Unfortunately, I had a couple of guys going in different directions, so they couldn't do it. But you know what? Do the background. Yep. Do the research. Do the research for financing. Do the research for a realtor. Do the research for, and honestly, lawyers, accountants, finance people, real estate agents. Rely on the information that they're going to provide to you. There's a reasons why they have gone to school and they have these jobs and they're successful at them, is because of that. And they can honestly help you. And I feel like the client that is the most educated client, as you know, always does the best, because they're sitting there saying, look, I have enough about everything that I think I know what direction I can go into, and I can do it confidently. Yeah. And if that makes sense.
Yeah, and absolutely. I think that's the thing we both take pride in, is educating our clients and kind of, like, relying on our network as well and getting them connected to our network, right?
Absolutely.
So, awesome.
Well, listen, it was a pleasure to have you today. I know we're just kind of starting into this podcasts and this and that, and I want to do even more. And and obviously Pritish will be involved in a couple others.
Awesome.
So I was happy to have you today.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you very
me.
much,
Absolutely.
my friend.
My pleasure.
And obviously, if you ever have any questions about finances and financing, mortgages, obviously you can always reach Pritish at CIBC. And then, of course, myself, Andrew J. But, of course, we have plenty of team members that can help you as well. Let me know if you need anything. I'd be happy to help.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.